Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. Shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? In a rather late night episode, as I was a little bit busy this evening. And this is basically the earliest I could have possibly even recorded anything. So, here we are. What did we talk about yesterday? Oh, we probably talked about a weekend when I'm the Dave's Hot Chicken, not Carolina Reaper literally, but the Reaper, chicken, I guess. Insanely hot. So I guess we could talk about like the next thing which we did that day. Good evening, everyone. I'm down Fawnhallow. It's 11:52 p.m. on Thursday, May 29th, 2025. Visitors staying at a campsite. How exciting! Yeah. I'm trying to think if I'm gonna record an extra episode today or not. I know it'll certainly be a little bit late and low-key, but I think so. You know what? I think I will. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I guess... yeah. I'm not really sure. But anyway, the thing I can talk about is the next thing we did, which was go to... there's like this art exhibition kind of in London, which is called like Frameless. It's a very interesting thing. It's probably how I describe it. It's kind of like, I don't know how I'd put it. I describe it like an art gallery, which is projected on the walls of a room. Is that the best way to put it? Maybe. I'm not really sure. But the way I would describe it is, you basically go into a room, and the rooms are different themes, kind of like the style. Like I think one of them was Impressionism. I cannot remember all the others. Where I'm not like that well versed in art history, so my knowledge is not that good. I'm sorry to say. But yes, you basically go into a room, and it's a huge room. It's like almost like a maybe not like a console. A console's a bit big, but it's like I'm trying to think of like a large room, which is like of equal size, maybe like a very small gym. But anyway, I don't know. Let's say it's just like 20 by 30 people across, or something like that. All standing shoulder to shoulder. I don't know why shoulder to shoulder is my measurement. I guess I could have just said like 15 meters by like 20 meters or something. Anyway, the rooms range in size, but basically they have a load of projectors, which are projecting these classic works of art all around the room. And these works of art are like animated in a sense, like where they have like these transitions which go between them, and like sometimes the elements of it are like 3D modeled or something, and there's like animation which plays. As I understand, it's meant to be like an immersive experience to be able to engage with art in a different way, to be perfectly honest. Certainly I think it's fascinating in a sense, where I was like, I had seen like adverts for it before, and I was like, that seems like an interesting experience, but it's not something which I would say I was like dying to go to. But certainly out of curiosity, I'm more than happy to go. And we tried it, and my overall thoughts of it is, I think it's interesting. I think it's a vibe, is probably how I'd put it. Like, if it was just like a free exhibit or like a relatively cheap exhibit, and you know, I would love, if anything, to just be able to like go in there and maybe like read a book or something, or just do something relaxing. Like if I was super rich, I'd have like I can see myself doing like a similar room in my house, portraying these like fancy animations, because it has like really nice sort of vibe out music as well. So I think it's fun as experience. I'm not sure if it was like a £30 entrance fee, I believe, which is, you know, a little bit pricey, mind you. But it was certainly interesting, and there were bits and pieces of it which I did like, and there was a lot of famous works of art there, like anything which I think had the aesthetic of interesting colours, I think, would probably have been on there. So there wasn't one which for Mona Lisa, but there was things like Starry Night or Monet, Claude Monet's. I can't remember which one. I think it was Water Lilies. Maybe. Oops, I just punched my drawing tablet. Claude Monet. It was definitely maybe my favourite painter. Is it Water Lilies? It's this one. Bridge Over a Pond of Water Lilies. It was that one. They all interact with it in a different way. So the Impressionism room, the one I remember with Claude Monet, was like all the colours that were in the painting were basically gathered on the floor, like in the middle, in sort of like piles. Kind of look like piles of leaves or flower petals or something. And if you like walked over them, I guess there were sensors in the room which would see you sort of like kick them up, and it would like simulate them being like scattered about, and they would like scatter up onto the wall and like slowly drift upwards. So I mean, thankfully I suppose there were a few like kids in the exhibit who, you know, had more than enough fun sort of just like running around every single time, like kicking up all the petals everywhere, so then the art like slowly forms on the wall. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And yeah, it would just basically do that, and then it would like appear on the wall, and it would be like a nice vibe, and then it would like reset, and the next one would appear. There was a room before. The first room we went to was a surrealism room, that's right, because it had the Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali, which is the Melting Clocks piece, if you don't know it. Like I remember, but this one was much more like sort of transitions between it. It was like a sort of animated movie in a way. They would have like these the animation of like clocks slowly starting to fall down, and then like slowly it would like have the clocks like fall and flutter into place in the scenery to recreate the painting. I'm trying to remember some of the other transitions. I know the screen was there as well. I can't remember how that came to be, but there was definitely a lot of paintings which I didn't know, or there were paintings which I like recognised, but I was like, I could not tell you who painted this or what it's called. There's that one the one where it's like there's a load of different things. It always makes me think of like a circus thing. What is it? What is it called? I don't know, I guess surrealist painting. If I just say this, it'll probably be that. I think it was surrealism. I don't know, hold on, let's see. Frameless exhibition is probably like a description about the exact things which are in it. Sorry, I had a little bit of a pause. But I did find a website where it spoke about each of our exhibits, and actually it's a very nice thing because it says what each of our paintings which appeared in each room was. It was one thing I was like, well, while it is like certainly a vibe, and I think like you would only go there for this sort of vibe, with just like watching pretty colours and animations and sort of like chill music, but you know, at a cost. I think it would have been really cool if there was like some sort of I think it might have been a guide, like an auditory guide, like some ASMR sort of lo-fi chill guide which talked about the paintings or something, and I don't know, interpretations or meanings or whatever, or things to notice in it. Because I think audio guides are pretty cool, and I think for art galleries they kind of are one of the coolest because they're things that you can much more visibly see. You can be like, oh yeah, you can notice how, you know, this sort of stroke is used, or like the use of colour over here, or like a small, often not noticed detail. But we can go for each one. Like the first room we went to was Beyond Reality. This was the surrealism one, which there's a decent amount of paintings here. I know we had a Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali, which I think is a very infamous one. I think a lot of people know about it. Tree of Life by Gustav Klimt, which I did not recognise, but I was like, this one's really cool as it sort of spreads out. This room was cool as well because it had like the floor and had a lot of mirrors around the room. It really felt all encompassing if you ignore the fact that you're in that room with about like 40 odd other people. But to be fair, everyone is just sitting along the outside. I think it's a sort of like an unwritten rule that most of the time you sit around the outside unless you're taking like a photo in the middle. Then you have The Scream by Edvard Munch, of course. The Dawn of Venus, I don't even know which one this is. The Dawn of Venus. I don't think I know this one. I think when it came up and I was like, is it the birth of Venus? And I was like, the birth of Venus is a bit strange because that doesn't really feel like it fits the vibe of the rest of them. But hey ho, Dawn of Venus. The Dream by Henry Rousseau. A. Edgar Poe. Which one? This one I did recognise. By Odilon Radon. I had no idea who painted it though. It's just like this sort of like eye hot air balloon. The Cyclops. I don't even remember. Elephants by Dali. Fireside Angel by Max Ernst. Oh. Max Ernst is definitely a name, but I could never. I don't think I'd ever be able to name anything that he's created. Fireside Angel. That one I saw before, but I was just like, I don't know what this is. A Garden of Earthly Delights by Bosch, and it was really cool. Like, I think how the animation sort of came about. There was like nice transitions between them, like a Fireside Angel. There were like swaths of like cloth fluttering up as it sort of like screen wiped. And the animation was kind of interesting as well. Like the elephants one, it was just sort of like walking around the room in the background. The Garden of Earthly Delights was interesting as well. And basically all the people in the painting, I don't know how big the actual painting is, but just sort of like riding around on horseback around the room. Again, I feel like it certainly feels like a little bit pretentious, and I'm going to be honest, it totally is a little bit pretentious. I think from the description alone, you would know if it's your sort of thing almost immediately or not. It's kind of like you're kind of there to sort of vibe out a little bit. Is it the best way to ingest and learn about classical artworks or very famous artworks? No, probably not. But I think it is an interesting way to mix up in the modern world. I don't think it'll be for everyone. I'm not even sure if it's super for me, but I did think it was nice, at least while I was there. Like, it was just sort of fun to watch the pretty colours and hear the nice music. My favourite room is definitely the Impressionism room, which is the Colour in Motion room. Sunday on La Grande Chatte by Seurat, which is my favourite painting, I think. Self-portrait by Van Gogh. The Water Lily Pond Green Harmony. So it's not the Bridge over Water Lilies or whatever, by Claude Monet, my favourite artist. This one I didn't know. Jean Metzinger, Robert Delaunay, Mont Saint Michael, Setting Sun, Paul Signac, I don't know that one. The Garden at Bougival by Marissa, and of course Starry Night Over Rhone by Vincent van Gogh. Sorry, not Starry Night, I guess. Starry Night Over Rhone. Who knew he had so many Starry Nights? That one was a nice one. I think it's the one which sort of solidifies the thematic of it a bit more by having like these really nice sort of colours sort of slowly coming in together. Or at least that was the one I think which sold me on it the most. Not be sort of like animating sort of traditional artworks, but this sort of like this abstraction of it, I think. It was more like an interactive art exhibit, is probably how to describe it. The world around us. This is like landscape paintings. This one I did not know most of them, I'll be honest. Christ in the Storm of the Sea of Galilee by Rembrandt. Monet, Boat on the Seine near Jeffos. And it was just sort of like animated, like you saw the like ocean waves and that sort of thing, people like sailing around in a boat. Reflections on the Thames by Grimshaw. The Grand Canal by Canaletto, is that right? I don't know. Or is it just Giovanni Antonio Canal? Oh, but this one I didn't ever wonder about the Sea of Fog. I feel like I know this on like Wuthering Heights or something. Sorry, little jump cut, and I just realised that the last jump cut I had, I was basically speaking with my mic muted. But I was talking about the landscapes, the rest of the landscapes. Most of them I didn't know. Initiation Rites of Cult Dionysus, which is one of the cooler ones, I think, because it had animated like a waitress going around the artwork, and she was like serving grapes or something to each of them. Don't remember exactly. Then it got interrupted by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, and you saw like the lava trail come down. You saw like the pillar of light, and you saw the lava sort of like creep along the floor as well. I can't remember the other transitions, but then the fight of Tamarine tugged to our last. By Turner, Birth to be Broken Up, sorry, there's the second line to that. That is a painting I feel like I've seen before, but I definitely would never have been able to name it. Yeah, no, I've definitely seen this. It's in Animal Crossing, actually. That's almost certainly why I've seen it, but certainly a lot of my art exposure might be from Animal Crossing. Almond Blossom, which I've seen before, I didn't know it was a Van Gogh piece. And The Great Wave, of course, I think is a classic. No idea who painted it, but apparently it's Hogseye. Starry Night, a very classic Van Gogh piece. When Tree Trunks Surrounded by Flowers by Rachel Roish, which, no idea. This one had some very grand transitions, I think, between each of her pieces. They were like very grand landscapes. Like, I remember Christ in the Storm of the Sea of Galilee was very like an epic thing with like all the waters like slushing around or whatever. Some of them were quite understated. I wonder about the Sea of Fog, I don't really remember much of. Anyway, but the last room we had was this abstraction room, the art abstraction, which is basically abstract art, which I'm not sure if I super jive with, but it's essentially they had like these translucent screens about the place, making a maze like structure, I guess, which projected onto them the different paintings and compositions they had, which all were animated, like stylistically, I suppose, like design animations, because most of them are abstract shapes, right? I don't know almost any of them, but there's stuff like Clint, Malevich, Kandinsky, Yellow, Red, Blue, that's a name I've heard at least, Yellow, Red, Blue and Kandinsky, Composition 8 by Kandinsky, Several Circles by Kandinsky, Carson and Son, Paul Klee, Composition with a large red painting, yellow, black, grey and blue, Pierre Mondrian, who I did an art project on back in school, Victory Boogie Woogie, that one I do remember, Pierre Mondrian, first disc, Untitled, Composition, Ancient Harmony. Because Pierre Mondrian has a lot of like these compositions, which like composition with like red, yellow and blue, composition with blue, red and yellow or something like that. He's very famous, I think, for his artwork, because you've almost certainly seen it. It's the artwork which is basically just a load of red, yellow, white, black, blue squares, and the sort of thing which people look at and a lot of the time be like, how is this art? And you know, I'm not going to say it's necessarily art which appeals to me in a sense. I mean, certainly like Distill, I think part of the reason it came about was the sort of deconstruction of I'm trying to remember. Distill is a Dutch movement, and Piet Mondrian I think was one of the most famous painters in it, but I think it was basically a deconstruction of art, wasn't it? Sort of something like that, or like this. I don't know, like breaking it. I can't remember. Something it's like the abstract use of colour or something to form it. I very much can't remember. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a point. And again, art is a wide swath of things. Like sometimes it will appeal to you, sometimes it won't. If art to you is necessarily the greatest execution of technical skill, then of course, yeah, Distill's not going to do anything for you. But art, I would say, is more like an expression. Like in some way it tells a story, which, you know, I think is one of the major proponents for me of like why AI art is like pretty, I suppose, devoid of meaning, is the fact that there is not a human element or story necessarily behind it. It kind of robs it of that fact. While it could be technically expressive, I think to me art is not just technical ability, but I understand the perspective all the same. But yeah, the abstract room, I think it looked... the thing I thought when I was in that room was like, this would make for some amazing sort of like pictures of yourself. I probably should have got my friends to take photos of me. It's another thing about it, is that the friends I go with aren't really the type to just sort of take candid photos of people all that often, but I very much am. So I have a lot of photos of my friends, but not very many of me. And I don't know, I'm not also the type of person to ask, hey, can you take a photo of me here? But I should more often, because a lot of the times I'm like, I have an idea or vision of it, and you know, let me be a little bit self-obsessed, I suppose, and take a portrait, take a painting, take a photo of me in a nice sort of artistic room like that, instead of just a selfie. Yeah, that was basically the thing I was thinking in that room, was like, there's some crazy things you can do, I'm sure, about like being on the other side of these translucent wall where shapes go about and just sort of like wandering about. But I think as an actual experience, like sitting there, I don't know, it was not something which I think resonated to me on that deeper level. Anyway, I guess on that note, I'll round this episode off here. I don't think I have anything else to really say about that. It was a very interesting experience. Worth going? Yeah, maybe once. I thought it would make, like, honestly, a very great date spot if you went there. Kind of like, it's kind of like I suppose a modern spin on an art gallery. I think art galleries are already like quite a fun date spot, but you know, your mileage may vary. A bit of an expensive one probably, but who knows. Anyway, I'm glad it exists. I don't know if I don't think it resonated with me in the way that traditional artworks did, but it resonated with me in perhaps a much more modern sensibility, where I was like, this kind of feels like a nice vibe. That's probably how to describe it. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to round this episode up here, so if you haven't been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been dear darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.